All right, welcome everyone. So excited to have you join us tonight for open house for LMU. This is a teacher preparation program. Teacher preparation programs are offered through the School of Education at LMU, and I have here a slew of awesome people. I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves to you. We will start with Dr. Keisha Chin-Gooseby.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Keisha Chin-Gooseby. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a clinical assistant professor in our Department of Teaching and Learning, meaning I teach some of our credential courses. And I'm also academic program director for our resident, intern, and practitioner pathways. Welcome. It's good to see all of you here.
And Dr. Annette Hernandez.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Dr. Annette Bijuan Hernandez. I am a clinical associate faculty member in our Department of Teaching and Learning. And for our sense and purposes tonight, I am the director of our traditional teacher preparation program for elementary and secondary education for our graduate students. So welcome, and I look forward to getting to know you all a little bit better.
And Dr. Diana Leamone.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to meet you. My name is Diana Limon. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am a visiting assistant clinical professor. And similar to Annette's comments, for the purposes tonight, I'm here to represent the Education Specialist Program, of which I'm the Academic Program Director.
And Erin.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Erin. I am the graduate admissions counselor for our teacher prep program. So from the time you're interested in the program through submitting an application, I am the kind of go-to contact person for any questions you have, and will be the one to kind of help you make sure your application is in the best shape possible to be reviewed for admission.
Great. And I'm Mary Frazier, Director of Admissions and Recruitment for the School of Education. I've been here for 20 plus years and am really excited about all of our programs, but in particular teacher preparation, because it's a program that I went through. So let's get started. Well, let's just start with the basics, what we are all about. So our School of Admission is the encouragement of lifelong learning, education of the whole purpose, promotion of service and justice for all. These really encapsulate everything we do. So our core values, our conceptual framework, our DEI framework, everything kind of comes from a starting place of our mission. And we have a new tagline we're coming out with is to be extraordinary at LMU. And we invite you to join us in this extraordinary journey of becoming a teacher. Or enhancing, if you're already a teacher, your teacher preparation. Our core values is that we're a learning community committed to social justice. And some of our values are social justice action, candidate-centered practices, a culture of innovation and discovery, and of course, providing a nurturing community to improve educational equity and outcomes. We do believe that every student deserves an inclusive, socially just, and compassionate teacher. In choosing LMU, we have several benefits. We have really small class sizes, 15 to 25, depending on the cohort you're in. Very supportive staff and faculty community, as well as a student community, colleague to colleague for your other candidates in the program. Highly individualized attention. You will get to know each and every one of us in admissions. You'll get to know your advisors. You get to know your faculty, your credential analyst at the end, all the way through to graduation. Everyone has an academic advisor, and this is probably the core thing that we can really provide to you. You've got an odd question, you took a class somewhere else. Any way that we can help you, we will help you. We have flexible fieldwork pathways. If you're working or plan to work in a public school, charter school, private school, Catholic school, any combination thereof, you can start any of those pathways and transfer pathways. The coursework is the same for all of them. The only difference is the fieldwork experience piece and some other little things depending on what your subject matter is as you go through. We have a direct clinical fieldwork application of theory and practice in K-12 schools. I've talked about the flexibility. Our courses are online. They're synchronously online, which means you do meet as a whole group, but sometimes in a hybrid format. So you may meet in a whole group online, 60% of the semester, and then have online independent coursework or group coursework where you're not meeting as a whole group for part of that time as well. All fieldwork, I should say, sorry, someone entered the waiting room. I should say that all fieldwork is carried out in California schools. You are getting a California credential, therefore it makes sense that you have to be in a California school to finish your fieldwork. And we also have some Saturday, our classes are late afternoon and evening, Monday through Thursday. They're designed for the working professional. So you're usually, if you're in a school site or other area, classes usually start around 4:30 to 7, 7 to 10, or 7 to 9:45. We also have Saturday classes for our private school fieldwork pathway. So that's another option there too, for some flexibility. SOE by the numbers. We are proud to be #2 Jesuit School of Education in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report. The #2 private school of education in the state of California. #8 school of education. This includes all privates and publics. So we're going up against your UCs and CSUs in that number. And then in number 71 in the country, all across the United States, we're in the top 5% of more than 1,200 schools of education nationwide. So you do know that the name of the Loyola Marymount University is recognized elsewhere. We have a strong alumni community, not just in Southern California, but across the United States, depending on where our alumni end up. And it's not a school that no one has heard of. All right, and with that, I am going to turn this over to Dr. Chin Gooseby.
Thank you, Mary. And so we do offer a number of California teaching credentials through our various pathways. You can pursue a multiple subject credential with a Master of Arts in Transformative Education. This is the credential you'd pursue if you're interested in teaching in elementary schools, usually grades K through 5. There's also a single subject credential with an MA in Transformative Education, typically reserved for middle school and high school age students. So if that's who you'd like to teach, you'd be looking at that credential area. We also offer the Education Specialist credential for mild to moderate support needs with an MA in Special Education with an optional elementary credential. Very exciting, and you can always hear more about that from Dr. Limon, who's our Academic Program Director for that pathway. And in addition, you can add teaching authorizations in bilingual education, in Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, and soon to be Korean.
Great.
So you'll often hear us talking about different pathways, and really the pathways are determined by where you're doing your fieldwork, where are you teaching, where are you immersing yourself in the profession. We have those who follow what we call a student teaching pathway or a traditional pathway, where you actually are teaching as a student under the mentorship of another teacher in their classroom. And that happens at the elementary, secondary, and special education levels. We also have programs for those who are teaching in public and charter schools, typically through external partners, but we also have folks who join us independent of partnerships. So intern pathways are for those who earn an intern credential initially to be able to teach in their own classroom as the teacher of record. That's a very unique pathway. We also have a fairly newly established resident pathway. It's been around for a little while, but gaining in popularity. Here, you're doing fieldwork in a classroom with a mentor teacher who's there to guide you, but there are additional opportunities to be funded while you're doing that work as a resident. And then those of you who teach in private schools or are interested in teaching private schools, you can actually conduct your fieldwork, so to speak, in your private school classroom where you're also already a teacher of record. The coursework is the same. So what's nice at LMU is that you have some flexibility to switch pathways for fieldwork if you change employment, let's say going from private to public, public to private, and so on. So what's also exciting about our program is you have this opportunity to earn a Master of Arts in Transformative Education. And so it expands upon your credential coursework. It includes all of the coursework that you take to earn your credential. And once you've completed all of your credential coursework in the first year at LMU, if all of your requirements are met to earn your credential, your preliminary credential with the state, then you can enroll in your master's courses in the second year, and that would be completed at the end of year 2. You do select the focus or concentration, which is made up of approximately 3 classes or 9 units, and all of our concentrations are listed here for you, with a couple of them being limited to folks who are in the intern or student teacher pathways. And then to finish up your MA, you would be doing a capstone research project. Very exciting because you get to select the focus of that research and work very closely with some of our faculty members who are experts in the field. And here you take 2 classes plus an additional class. I apologize for the dog. And so you take 2 classes plus another course to complete the final research project.
Excellent. And we're going to switch gears to Dr. Limon for the special ed course pathways.
Certainly. So for the special education pathway, we do offer a credential for mild to moderate support needs credential. And through that program, candidates have the option to also earn their multiple subject, their elementary school teaching credential. Not required. It is an option and highly recommended because the majority of the work that is done in our courses and the various activities and experiences also transfer to the general education multiple subject teaching credential. So from that, we then also, that is a 1-year program. And then from that 1-year program, we also offer a 1-year program for a master's in special education. It is a 12-unit program, 3 courses in the fall, 3 courses in the spring, and that is year 2 of the program regarding the education specialist credential. And as we've shared both for general education and special education, the pros of combining a credential with a Master of Arts degree. Obviously, it deepens your knowledge. It also contributes to us as teachers moving over on the pay scale in our particular districts for having a master's degree built upon our bachelor's degree or our teaching credential. The master's also provides us with multiple opportunities for leadership positions, either at our school site or within our district. So that is another pro to continuing and moving ahead with a master's degree in either program. As shared, the master's in transformative ed is 16 units. The master's in special education is 12 units. Both do culminate with a capstone project, which is Dr. Chin Gooseby shared, is based on an area of interest, a particular problem or issue or concern that you would like to learn more about, to gather research and provide suggestions for how to problem solve a particular challenge at your school site. You'll see here with regards to finances, there are some specifics with regards to federal loan limits. There are limitations for scholarships for various partners or partnerships that we have in place in the School of Education. And that bullet point with regards to finances in general, talking not only if you are interested in a particular partnership, but also in general, if you have questions about finances, it's always best to ask, those directly involved. And so any of us here on screen, in particular, I would also guide finance questions to Mary and or Erin. And then also to share with you the credential combined with the required MA, the elementary and secondary programs and the student teaching pathway, that credential is combined with the MA. And then the place core and private school program with community housing for our Catholic school teachers is also the MA is a required component of that particular program.
And we're going to turn it over to Erin.
Great. So these are the Commission on Teaching credentialing requirements. These are state requirements that are had for all teacher prep programs in the state of California. So regardless of a program you go to, these will be all the same that you'll have to meet. So specifically, we'll start with basic skills. This is basically to just kind of test and look at your reading, writing, and math skills. There are a few ways that we can meet this specific requirement. The most common is that we review your undergraduate coursework, because if we can find a reading, writing, or math class with a score of B- or higher, or that you got a credit or passing grade for, we can help waive this requirement if we have those classes. Otherwise, we also accept SAT or ACT scores. And there's also the CBEST exam, which again, there's 3 exams, reading, writing, and math. You can potentially take all 3, or we can also kind of mix and match certain options. So you might have a reading and math class from your undergraduate degree, and then you might take the math CBEST exam, and we can put it all together and help complete this requirement for you. Subject matter is reviewed somewhat similarly to basic skills. We can sometimes start with looking at your bachelor's degree, and then coursework review. So for subject matter, what we review is very specific to the subject that you're interested in teaching. So if you're interested in the multiple subject credential, there'll be sort of a different set of requirements that you have to meet coursework wise or degree wise compared to if you're doing a single subject in, say, English. For subject matter for multiple subjects, we can help do that review and look at your coursework. It's kind of, again, like a mix of subjects that we want you to meet. If not, then you can take the CSET exam for the multiple subjects, and there are 3 subtests. We can also sometimes waive some of the subtests, and you may only have to take 1 or 2, but we help with that review to make sure that we can eliminate as many exams as we need to before we tell you what you need to take. Similarly, for a single subject, if you had we can look at your degree. If you had a degree in English, then that can help waive the requirement. Otherwise, we'll look at your coursework. And after that, we'll also recommend or look if you've taken CSET exams. Degree also will for multiple subject. If you have a bachelor's in liberal studies or elementary education, that is a requirement or a subject that can meet the multiple subject requirement for waiving that subject matter. Otherwise, if it's not specifically kind of one of those degrees, it's not likely that you can meet a degree match. Otherwise, then we would look into coursework review. For special ed, that will specifically be the multiple subject credential that we do with that program. But in order to waive that, you can have a specific degree that meets a single subject requirement. So if you're going into special ed and you have an English degree, that can also help waive that because it meets a single subject requirement. We also recommend looking at the CTC website, as they have a list available of all of the degrees that meet specific subjects that you're interested in teaching. So you can kind of see what the exact wording is needed based on your degree. Oh yes, and Bachelor's of Liberal Studies or Elementary Ed can also help with the special ed multiple subject path as well. So you also need a certificate of clearance that will go through the CTC, will help issue for you. You have to complete a live scan fingerprint process. So you go in, have your fingerprints done, submit that, and apply online to the CCC for your certificate of clearance. Once they issue that, it will be available online. And for that, we just need to see the validity date with your name on the website to know that it is active and for you, so that you can teach in a classroom with that. And then the other requirement we have is the U.S. Constitution, which we can also look at your coursework, see if you took a history or political science class that may have covered the Constitution. If there's a history class that you know covered the Constitution, but it doesn't sound like it in the title, you can also submit like a coursework syllabus or a description. So if we can see that it mentions that, then that can also count. If you graduated from a CSU school, then that also waives this requirement. Alternatively, there is an online exam we can recommend for you to take, and then once you pass that exam, you'll be issued a certificate, and then we can also use that to waive to help you pass that requirement. And all of these we review with your application. So when you submit an application, I'm the first one who will be reading it. So I'll make sure I go through and see what of these you meet or don't meet, and then we will help communicate that with you, just so you know what exams you need to take. And if you're planning on applying and starting in the summer, for that, we do require that all of these be complete by the time you start classes, but they don't have to be completed by the time you apply. So you can still submit your application before these are done. But if you have any of these completed, then we highly recommend just uploading them with your application.
And
Great job. Oh, is that my turn? Is it my
yep,
turn?
I think
Okay.
so.
Alrighty, Erin, thank you for all that information. That's very important for our particular program start dates. So there's really two options for the pathways in terms of when you might start. All of our pathways technically have what we call a summer to start. But in order to start at this point in time, you need to have all of those CTC requirements that Erin just explained satisfied, completed, and done by the time you start your coursework. So as she mentioned, if you're submitting an application, but you're still working on one or two of those requirements, that's fine, but they do have to all be checked off by the time your coursework would start in summer 2. So all pathways we've talked about can start there. You will have your credential completed by the end of year 1, if you're a summer start, and then you will start your Master of Arts, your transformative ed coursework, and have that completed by the end of year 2. So year 1 is focused entirely on your credential, and then you start and complete your master's coursework across the second year of the program. So that's for summer start. We do also have a fall start option, but this is only for students on the traditional student teaching pathway. And I believe that's true whether you're elementary, secondary, special education. And that also applies to our residency pathways. And the fall start are for students who, for example, may not be done with undergrad by the time that summer 2 kicks off at LMU, or you don't have all of those CTC requirements yet completed, and or you just want to start in the fall and take it on a different trajectory. That is student choice, but these are the only pathways that can start in the fall. When you start in the fall, it does give you a little more time to complete all of those CTC requirements. On the traditional student teaching pathway, you would need to have all of them done before you can enter the classroom full time at the beginning of year 2 to do your clinical practice. So you'll complete the credential in option 2 in a year and a half. And then you will have all of the master's coursework completed again by the end of the second year. So timeline to finish in either option is the same. What varies is when you have to have all of the testing and requirements of the CTC completed. And then in addition to the various credential options that we mentioned, there is an authorization that you can add, as well as a certificate. So we have the CTC Bilingual Added Teaching Authorization, and this you can do in several languages: Mandarin, Cantonese, Spanish, and soon we're adding Korean. Both of these options can actually be added through specific concentrations in the Transformative Education Master's program. So in order to earn the CTC Bilingual Authorization, you would take the language and culture concentration for your master's program, and you're going to complete 9 units of coursework for the master's anyways. So by doing the language and culture concentration, you're actually doing the 9 units that students need in order to earn the bilingual authorization. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1, so to speak. Any of these bilingual languages will require a CSET language exam that you would have to take to verify that you have the capacity in the language in order to be awarded the authorization. And then finally, we have a certificate of inclusive education. This can be earned through the Disability Studies and Inclusive Education concentration that also has 9 units minimum. In order to earn the certificate, you need to take 6 additional units beyond that 9 of the concentration to then get the certificate. It does have a special education inclusive focus. And for anyone who's interested in our private school pathways, this is a particular excellent preparation for you. As we all know, private Catholic schools don't necessarily have the resources to provide special education support. So this would prepare you with some of those strategies and mechanisms to help those candidates or to help your students in your classroom. And then lastly, as if this isn't a lot of information already, full package in California. The CTC requires what we consider a two-tiered credential system, or actually California has a two-tier credential system, which the CTC mandates. And what that means is that with us at LMU now, you will earn what's considered a preliminary credential. Excuse me. You're going to do that through the various pathways, through coursework that has been approved by the CTC, fieldwork and clinical practice that's been approved by the CTC, satisfying the different credential requirements. RICA will be an exam that perhaps some of you might take, but that's starting to get phased out. And then it'll be added to a teacher performance assessment, which you all have to do as part of the credential. The preliminary authorizes you to teach in any public, private charter school, and it's valid for 5 years. So that's what you will earn. We recommend you for your preliminary credential. We check that you've done everything you are expected to do, and then the state will issue you that preliminary credential. You then have 5 years from that issuance date to do what they consider clear your credential. Most of you will do that through your school districts and where you are employed. It's automatic, and they basically enroll you in what's called an induction program. And it's really a closely aligned mentorship program where you're focused on really developing your professional skills, your teaching skills under the advisement of a mentor that's typically on site at your school, and or someone that's appointed by the district to come and visit you, do some observations, and really just hone in on your specific classroom. And it's a 2-year process that you'd be engaged in. Once you complete that 2 years, you are mostly done in that you get your clear credential. But as we know in teacher education, our work is never done. We're lifelong learners. So although you've earned your preliminary and thus cleared it within those 5 years, the work will continue. But as far as the CTC is concerned, you have now satisfied all of their credential requirements.
Great, and we'll turn it back to Erin.
So when you're ready to apply or looking to apply, here are some of our general admissions requirements that we require for the application. So our application is online through the graduate website or through our LMU SOE website. You can find the link to start that application. And in that application is where you'll select your specific pathway, if you want what credential you want, and if you're wanting to do the MA or not. And once you fill in those sections of your school plan, that will kind of autofill or auto set up the rest of the application based on your specific pathway. One thing that is required is the personal statement of intent. So again, once you fit in your specific pathway, the application will generate the questions needed for that pathway that they want you to answer in that personal statement. So then you can answer those questions. Our requirement is that it's a minimum of 2 pages double spaced, with the maximum being 4 pages double spaced. We require 1 set of official transcripts from all institutions attended. So we need the transcript where you got your bachelor's degree, where you graduated from. If you went to another university and then transferred, then we would generally request that transcript as well. Also, if you took any community college classes, because we like to review all of those for what I was talking about earlier with the CTC requirements, because through all of those transcripts, especially if you took a lot more like gen ed classes at another university or at a community college, we like to see that because those are the classes that we can usually help to waive some of those CTC required exams. And then letters of recommendation, the number of letters specifically depends again on the particular program you're applying for and the pathway. Again, once you put in that information, the application will tell you how many letters that you'll need. We do require a current professional resume, and if you are going through a pathway where you are currently working at a school site or with a partnership, we do prefer to see that on your resume, just so that, again, we can see that that is where you are currently employed. If it's not, sometimes we'll ask for you to submit a more updated one. And then some pathways and programs offer virtual interviews. If that is the case for the program you're applying for, you will be contacted by that program to set up a time to talk. So those are the general admissions requirements for our particular LMU application. Then again, from what I was saying before, is our CTC requirements. Like we were saying before, if you're applying and wanting to start in the summer, then a lot of these do need to be met by the time that you start the program and you start your classes in June, specifically the certificate of clearance, the basic skills requirement, subject matter, and the US Constitution. You will get that employment verification, I believe, after you submit your application. And there'll be some other forms as well then that you'll have to sign. There's usually like a contract with your specific program that you'll also sign off, and that's basically stating that, you know, you agree to complete this program based on the requirements set before you. You take on the financial responsibility of being in a program like this, as well as that you agree to complete those requirements that we've talked about listed for getting your credential and the master's. There is, so not due at the time that you submit or start classes, but midway through the program, you will be taking, it's still currently the RECA exam for elementary and special ed. If you're looking into that, that exam is looking to be replaced in summer of 2025. So there'll still be an exam, but it will be under a different name. But right now it is the RECA exam. So for tuition and financial aid, currently the price per unit for our program is $1,542, and that's before any grants or type of aid that you may receive from LMU. We highly recommend that students look into some of these statewide options and federal options, particularly the Golden State Teacher Grant, which can award you up to $20,000 for working in high needs fields and at high needs schools. Again, you can kind of agree that you'll be working at a school in a field designated by them to receive that financial aid. For particular application requirements, we recommend Googling the Golden State Teacher Grant application and looking at what their additional requirements are. We also recommend looking into the Federal Teacher Loan Forgiveness Program, which is you're basically agreeing that for 5 years you'll work in a designated high needs school for the exchange that it'll help forgive your loans if that you may take out for this program. We also offer the SOE scholarship, which is, like it says, available by program or partnership. This you can apply for after you have been admitted into the School of Ed and will depend, again, based on program or partnership, how much you may receive. And then for City Year alumni, we also offer a 30% scholarship. And for, again, like we said earlier, for particular pathways, there may be some other information, but you can look specifically at this link. That's the SOE LMU Admission Aid website, which will have a list and talk a bit more about these, especially the Golden State Teacher Grant and the Federal Teacher Loan Forgiveness, as well as our SOE scholarships and other aid available. But before you can receive any aid from us, even if it's a scholarship that's guaranteed, you still have to submit a FAFSA or a DREAM app. It is required by our financial aid office and our program. So regardless of what kind of aid you plan to take, we still need that to be submitted to our school. And we highly recommend that you attend the financial aid virtual session that starts at 6. They'll have a lot of general information for you that's really important to know. So if you have any questions that may be a bit more specific in terms of financial aid, in terms of grants or loans or things like that, I highly recommend going to that tonight. Otherwise, we do have a financial aid open house video from an open house of the past at that lmu.edu/open house, another backslash. So recommend watching that too if you'd like. And if you can't do those, then I also recommend signing up with the financial aid office. They do one-on-one sessions as well. So you can meet with a financial aid counselor.
And that kind of concludes the formal part of our presentation. I was just going to go back. If there are, tonight there's also a 6:30 career and professional development, but tomorrow is the international student panel. I think I just missed it when. So here's all our details. Feel free to take a photo of that, but we're also going to hang out here and answer questions. This is a prime time to get direct access to 3 of our esteemed faculty, and take it away. And don't be shy, because you're going to be teachers.
Yes, I actually have a question.
Sure.
I just want to clarify actually something. So for the Monday to Thursday evening classes, that could be from 4:30 to 7 or 7 to 9:45. But then you said also for Saturday classes only for private school teachers, or is that also open to public and charter school teachers?
We don't exclude anyone from any class, and so your academic advisor would work with you if exceptions need to be made. By and large, though, on Saturdays, the the candidates in the program that make up those classes are going to be candidates working in private and Catholic schools. So knowing that it's a very different environment from maybe a large public or
Yeah.
charter school, that when discussing colleague to colleague, they might not have some of the same experiences that you're having, but absolutely our advisors will work with you and talk you through that and make sure that you get the fit that meets your needs best.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Mhm. Anyone else?
Hi, doctor. May I ask questions?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So, I would like to, very interesting about the bilingual program for Mandarin. I wonder, is that need an additional course I should attend?
It would be part of your master's degree program. So if you're already going to do the 2-year program, then you could easily, that would be part of it.
Okay, so I just need to pass the CSAT parts, right? Or
Right, for the language, right.
is that CSAT pass, for example, for the Mandarin parts, is that I should pass all the 1, 2, and 3?
For subject matter, that would be different, and it would depend on what your bachelor's degree was in and what you ultimately plan to teach at what level and what subject matter or subject matters. So there,
Mhm.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
So right now, a little bit difference. So I'm in the single subject for
Mhm.
math, but I want to add like, yes, the bilingual program for the Mandarin parts.
Oh, okay. Are you at LMU already, or are you attending a different program at another university?
Exactly, you're right. I'm right now in the University of Laverne,
Okay.
but I will not finish the teaching student teaching there, but probably want to transfer to your school. And I do have some units I curious about is that I can transfer some of the units to here.
Well, what we want to do, can you pronounce your name for me? Is it Han?
Yeah, you're right,
Han, okay. So Han, what we want to do is get you set up one-on-one to have someone go over your case because you're so specialized. And we'll have an academic advisor sit with you and see what can and can't be done. If you do finish your credential at University of Laverne, then it's 3 courses at LMU. If you don't finish your credential at University of Laverne, it's going to be a little bit more, and someone would really need to sit with you and go through all of that.
I would love to do that. And also I gonna have teaching credential. I gonna get a teaching credential master in teaching there, but not a credential there. But I would love, yeah, I would love to get a credential in your school. But
Okay,
I want
Han. Yeah, so what I'll do, I've taken down your name and we're going to reach out to you after this to get you more information and get you connected with the right people.
that would be wonderful.
Okay.
As I really want to know the details
Yeah, no problem.
and don't want to miss the application deadline.
Oh yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You have time. May 15th. So you've got time. And then there was a question in the chat that I wonder if Dr. Hernandez or Dr. Chinguzbi would like to take, and that was about the difference between student teaching and residency pathways.
Sure, I can start, and I'm happy to have Dr. Gooseby, I renamed you, chime in with anything that I may have missed. Primarily the differences between student teaching and residency pathways Student teaching is a slower progression until you take over in terms of whole class instruction under the advisement of your mentor teacher. Residency pathways, you're in a classroom pretty much almost full time from the minute you start the program. So residency, you're at a school site working as a resident under the advisement of program personnel at the school site from the very beginning. On the student teaching side, you're going to start with coursework. You might do some observations, then you do more coursework, and you do a 2-day placement at a school site that we provide, more coursework, and then you do a full-time student teaching placement towards the end of the credential portion of your program. So it's a slower progression where you get to then work under a mentor teacher and student teach full-time 5 days a week, versus residency where you're in a classroom. You work with a mentor, but they're not in the classroom with you all day, every day. And you're in there from the beginning of your program throughout. And I believe residents earn a small stipend due to the nature of how the program is structured. Unfortunately, student teachers, it's more of an unpaid internship as you get to that final point in the program. So Dr. Gooseby, I don't know if there's more you'd like to add, or if that was a fair description.
Sure. I'm very comfortable with my first name in any setting. Keisha's fine.
Did I say Keisha? I meant
we
Dr.
usually call
Gooseby.
each other. No, you did not. You're not
I'm
calling
so
me what
sorry.
I'm accustomed to you calling me. Anyhow,
I'm sorry.
I think what I didn't hear as another distinction, though, is that the residency pathway structured here is 1 year. So you will follow, I'd say, a more accelerated path then, in addition to that stipend, which the stipend, if I'm using the correct term, is attractive for those who would like to be able to earn while learning to teach under the guidance of an experienced mentor in your subject area. But it is a 1-year program with us, similar to the intern pathway, but you're not taking full responsibility for teaching initially either. There is a gradual release of responsibilities to you between you and your mentor teacher as the year progresses.
And would it be fair to say that generally a resident teacher, the school district hires you as a resident teacher, and a student teacher, we find the placement for you? Whereas a resident teacher usually comes to us already having engaged, a school site has already engaged them and their employment. Is that a fair statement?
I'd say so on the resident side, yes.
Same on student teaching side.
Now, it could subject to change in the future, but for right now, student teaching, we do the placement for you. We at LMU with our fieldwork, we have a whole supervising fieldwork supervision team that are excellent and find you a placement for your student teaching. Or if you're coming to us already hired as a resident or as an intern, or as a private school teacher, our fieldwork team goes to you or works with you to get you supervised at your site where you are a resident or an intern or a private practitioner. Great, excellent questions. All right, any others before we go here?
Hi, good afternoon. I just had a real quick question.
Sure, Janelle.
So, I'm a transfer student who's looking at different like programming like right now, like different university programs. So I was just wondering, when we transfer, is the first, you said it was like 2 years of like working towards your bachelor's, or is it like automatically you're put into like the master's pathway? Because I just heard you guys talk a lot about like the master's credential program. But is
Sure.
that, sorry, I was just a little confused. I think I might have gone to the wrong one or the
No,
wrong.
that's fine, Janelle. So yeah, most of our programs and what we're talking about today are at the graduate level, but we also have a program for undergraduates. So it sounds like you have not yet completed your bachelor's degree.
No, not yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Dr. Hernandez take that one because she happens to be the expert in the undergraduate teacher preparation pathway.
Great.
Thank you, Mary. Hi, Janelle. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
quick question. You're a transfer student at LMU?
Or I'm looking to transfer this semester for the fall, but
Yeah,
I've already
okay, so
submitted my application and been accepted.
fabulous. So the good news is we have the credential programming available to all of our undergraduates at LMU. And when I started, I said for our intents and purposes today, I shared my graduate director title, but my other role is that I am the senior director for our Center for Undergraduate Teacher Preparation, which actually works with all of our undergraduates on campus, that by virtue of whatever major they choose, they add the credential coursework to their program of study. We work with first-year students, transfer students, so this is something you are able to do. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to drop my email in the chat. Feel free to message me and I'll be happy to connect. We can connect with the advisor and just get you set up so that you're ready to go in the fall with the courses that you need to take.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
For sure, absolutely. And since we talked about masters and you mentioned masters, we also have a 4+1 Master of Arts program for our undergraduate students, where if you stay for one additional year post your bachelor's graduation, you can earn a master's degree as well.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you.
For sure. We can talk about all of that when we meet.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome. I hope it works out.
I hope so too.
That's the one admission process we don't oversee, but so we will keep you keep hopeful thoughts going your way in the universe.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And I see you on screen, sir, and unfortunately your name doesn't appear. And I wondered, just so that we can make sure we reach out to you afterwards, that we don't say Dear iPhone 101, what's your, do you mind sharing? You can be a first name only is fine. I'm sorry?
Israel Aragon.
Great. Nice to have you here with us, Israel. Do you have any questions?
At the moment, no. It was a lot of information and still processing it.
Right.
To be honest, I was looking into the place court.
Great.
That program. So I was yeah, that's why I kind of hopped on this session.
I realized that somehow there is a slide on PlaceCore and our other program cast, and somehow I must have double clicked and it went over it. But have you been talking to Anthony at all?
I spoke to him a little bit last week
Okay.
about the nature of the program. And
Great. Right. So it's the same program again for private school practitioners. It's just that we find the job for you. We work with the Archdiocese. We get you the salaried position at an Archdiocesan school. We provide you with housing. You get your private room, but it's a community housing, shared kitchen, shared living room. And so that takes the step, and it is a 2-year program. So, but it really increases the support if you're able to do, not everyone's in a position to be able to do a program like that where you live in community. And so that is sort of what takes that as a private school practitioner to the next level. Thank you, Liana. Thanks for joining us. So sorry, I was saying goodbye to someone. Does that make sense, Israel?
so yes, it does.
Great.
Thank you for going over.
Of course. All right, unless I've missed anything in the chat. Sounds good. So yes, again, if you email us, as is being said in the chat, you can either email soeteacherprep@lmu.edu. Anytime you copy that with any of your discussions with anyone else, it gets recorded into our system, so we remember what you said and what we said back. That always helps too. But also saying that you met us here is great too. And I see Han has a question, so I'm going to take her question. Han, go ahead.
So I'm curious about, so LMU, is that provide a master and a credential combined, or just do you have credential only?
We can do credential only, or combined, or the authorization by itself if you have a credential already. So, or all three together, one,
Ah,
two, or three.
Great. Love to hear. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna stay after that, right? Want to find more information.
Yeah, I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna email you tomorrow with I want to reach out to the academic advisor for your programs and make sure that I can connect you with her to get you some. She can review sort of your background and what you've been doing at University Laverne and get some more information for you that's more specific to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So
so you don't need to hang out after this. It will be tomorrow when you hear from me and connecting you with the advisor, whose name is Terry Taylor. So,
oh, okay. Okay, wow, wonderful. And so if I want to get a credential here, and so I can add the bilingual program, right?
yes, yes, that is definitely an option. The credential with the bilingual authorization. Um, if you don't do, so you already have a master's, you don't need to do a second master's, but you would do those 3 courses. Or alternatively, there are some exams you can take. So there's some options for you there that she'll go over with you.
Okay, so if I want to add bilingual, just 3 additional courses.
At LMU, yeah. Coursework or exams.
Oh,
Actually, you can
oh,
get out of the coursework by doing some exams if you want to. It's because it's part of our MA, we don't see a reason for people to take the exams. But if you're already in a position where you get a credential, then she'll give you the options though. Everyone's different. Some people like exams, some people like coursework, we're flexible. We try to help you out there.
okay, thank you. And also, so LMU is near this, I know it's near Santa Monica, right? That city. But I live a little bit far away from here. But is
Yeah,
that
thank you, Keisha. Yes, we are near Marina Del Rey, near LAX.
okay.
Hop, skip, and a jump from Santa Monica. Depends if you take Lincoln. You might sit in traffic a little while, but
Is
so
that we should like meet like every week? Like 9 to
they're online. The courses are online.
Oh, this
So
all
you don't actually need to come to campus.
that would be great. Okay.
All right. All right. Lorena, Israel, anything else?
No, not no.
Okay. Great.
No, thank you guys so much. I love the sound of the program and I'm really excited to apply. So thank you guys.
Awesome, Lorena. We look forward to assisting you. All right. Have a
All right,
great day,
bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so